What's your 3 to 5 year ambition? Where do you want to stand in 3 to 5 years?
Well, I don't look at it like that. I don't think our ambition should be about the 3 to 5 years. I understand that's how it is thought about in many international structural organizations. But to me, it's deeper than that. And I'll explain. Before me, well, before our generation, there is a generation way before us who had to make some serious decisions. That's the generation of Nkrumah, of Patrice Lumumba, of Senghor. These are the young people of those late 50s and 60s who, like us, traveled to study, to come home. But in the back of their mind, they wanted what they've seen overseas to happen in their countries. They wanted the quality of life that they have seen in London, in France, in the United States, to happen to their mothers, to their aunties, to their children, to their families here. Meaning they wanted them to go to the doctors and being able to see a doctor, being able to get a decent healthcare system. They also dreamed about being able to have control of their future. Just like those people who left Ireland with no hope, took the waters to go to an empty land in the United States for hope, for opportunities, for looking for a better life, to make things better. And today, they've created the United States. And those young people I'm talking about came home to fight with nothing until we have what we call independence. Even though they knew they will not finish the work, they will not achieve all of the dreams that they had the courage to start the work. But I know in them, they knew that they will not benefit from what they're fighting for. But they knew that their children and their grandchildren will come and finish it. Well, that time has come. Their grandchildren are here. We've traveled the world, we've seen it. We understand it. We know how America's built, how France is built after the war, devastated, with no money, with the Marshall Plan to come to help them. We know how it was done in Singapore with Lee Kuan Yew. And we are here to create a new Africa. We, the children of Africa. We need you as a partner, but we don't need nobody to come to tell us how it's done anymore. That I want it to be clear to everyone coming to invest in Africa. There is a new generation of leaders of Africa that's born. And that time will come, we will change it. So I don't have no plan for 3 years. No, I have a plan for a lifetime. And I know if I don't finish the work, the young people I'm training through Give One Project, the young people he's training through ABCD, the young people that Tony Elemelu, my good friend, is training in Nigeria, will take on the fight, and they will change this country for the better. Where every young African born in this country will have the same decent education that your children have over there in Amsterdam. I want those young people in my country, in the villages, in Kaolack, in Put, in Kenya, in Burkina Faso, to be able to have the same chance that my children in the United States. I'm not waiting for nobody to come and do it for me or give me a plan of structural plan from the World Bank or from the whatever bank or organizations. We will do it. We don't need it. It's not the World Bank who changed French after the World War II. They haven't helped the United States or Singapore. Lee Kuan Yew had the gut to say, we will change Singapore from nothing after Malaysia left them. I spoke there with the president just a month ago, and I saw what they have done. I want that in my country, in Senegal. I want that in Mali, in Benin, and etc. And I know if we don't do it, nobody won't do it. So this is my fight. This is bigger than 3 years. And I know I won't forget it. I won't finish it. But if I don't, the one who will come after me will finish. God bless you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Merci, John.
Yeah, I want to comment on this video by Theo Nyang. Theo Nyang was speaking at a meeting of the Africa Development Bank, AFDB, to which the president is Adesina. The current president is Adesina, who was the agricultural minister in the government of Nigeria. At this meeting, they asked Theon what his plan for the next 3 years, and as you saw in the video, that was his response. But I wanted to break down and look at his response. To be honest, I feel like Theon is speaking for the youth. He's speaking the mind of the youth. He opens, the speech by saying that before us here, where we are, there was a generation of people who came up to fight for the African continent. He did not even go far. He said that the people who rose up to fight for the African continent from colonialism, he mentioned Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, he mentioned Patrice Lumumba, who we know was killed by the Americans and their organization, which is CIA. Nkrumah also was overthrown by the CIA and the Americans and all the white people, who were fighting in the Congo. They were fighting to control the resources of the Congo, the resources of Ghana, and the entire African continent. So he says that these guys, they made a decision. He mentioned the other African heads of state who were overthrown that time. And then he said that these people, some of them traveled, some of them studied, with the European system. Some of them traveled outside and studied from outside. People like Kwame Nkrumah, who studied from the United States, and then he came to Britain, where the 1945 Manchester Conference found him. So when they traveled out there, they saw certain things, in those countries. And when they came back, they wanted to see that these good things which were happening there should happen in Africa. They wanted to see that development, good hospitals, good schools, all of them happening in Africa. Even though some of them knew that they would not see them. When you go back and listen to people like Patrice Lumumba, who was a prime minister for, less than 6 months in the Congo, because when he was sworn in as the first prime minister, immediately the Americans, the Belgians, and all of them, when you go and examine the book the book is called The White Malice, CIA, the CIA recolonization of Africa. It was written by a lady called Susan something. Yeah, so that book, the title of the book is called The White Malice. So she lays out how the whole plan was, or how the CIA went ahead to assassinate and kill Lumumba, and that pattern which they used to kill Patrice Lumumba of the Congo is the same pattern that was used in killing people like Gaddafi. They come in and they hand you over to people who will look like your people, who have been bribed. Definitely people who have been bribed, like people like Mobutu was bribed, Kasavubu, all these guys, Kasavubu, who was bribed, all these guys were just bribed. So they will hand them over, they will hand you over to people who have been bribed by the CIA, so that these people can kill you, and then it will look like your people are the ones who have killed you. So this is what happened to Lumumba. When you go and read that book, White Malice, you will be able to understand what went on. Now, Theon is saying that these guys, some of them knew that they would not, be able to see the good things, but they had the courage to begin the work, even though they knew that they would not reach, the destination of seeing a fruitful Africa. Even when you go and examine Lumumba, like I said, you could hear him in some of his final speeches saying that he still has faith that Africa will be free and will unify, and one day Africa's story will be told by its own people. Okay, we have seen that organizations like the CIA. They have been orchestrating coups all over the continent in order to control our resources, and they have been using other organizations infiltrating our media. They have been using even their own media houses, like the CNN, BBC, and all other newspapers, Fox, Sky News. Even recently, Al Jazeera has been taken on board. It has been bribed, and which used to is a news network which used to be objective in its reporting, but these days it is not. So it has been bought out. So Patrice Lumumba says that one day Africa will tell its own story. It will be the story of Africa from the north to the to the south, and from the east to the west. So that story will be told by the Africans. So that is what we are seeing in this generation, with the resurgence of technology, new technology which has come up. That you can see now that technology has been liberalized. So the source of information, like what happened recently in Ethiopia, the information has been liberalized now. It has been democratized, that now we can be able to understand what is going on. What has been hidden before now is no more hidden. Okay, these news networks like the BBC, CNN, who have been lying and causing a lot of chaos around the world, starting wars like what you are seeing happened in Libya, in Somalia. Somalia was invaded by the United States and CIA in the 1990s, and up to now the country has not recovered. The same thing with Libya. Libya, it will take very, very long time for it to recover. If all Africa doesn't intervene, and by intervening I mean if Africa doesn't unify, then we should forget about Libya to stabilizing. And once Libya doesn't stabilize, the weapons will continue to flow in through the Sahel and to destabilize all the way, like you are seeing the instability that is happening, in Mali, Burkina Faso, and all the way now it has reached Mozambique. So those all are results of the negligence of our leaders as African leaders. For example, people like Zuma and the Goodluck Jonathan of Nigeria, Zuma of South Africa. They played a very big role, in allowing America and the group, that group of colonialists to come and bomb Libya. So that negligence, it has to be accounted for. That some of the leaders, we have to hold them accountable. We have to hold them accountable, even though they have left, the seats of power. So Theon is seeing all these things. So all these patterns which they used to kill, Lumumba, they are the same patterns which they used to kill Muammar Gaddafi. The same people, CIA, America, the Europeans, in their greed, because they wanted to steal our resources. I'll go into that another day. So Theon is saying that we are here now. The new generation is here. Okay, that for a very long time the World Bank, and these banks that are controlled, by Europeans. When you look at the video, there is whites sitting on the board of the bank. When you look at the voting powers of the the Africa Development Bank, you can see that the United States has voting powers. Is the second country after Nigeria with more voting powers, and we know that the United States has been on many occasions controlling Nigeria, and the leaders there, they are just puppets. They don't know even what to do. They don't know where to take the country. The country has some of the finest oil. The low sulfur oil in Nigeria is the best. The oil in Nigeria is the best in the world. There's no oil all over the world which is better than the Nigerian oil. But that oil now is controlled by Americans. So the leaders there are puppets. Now, Nigeria, even though it has, the biggest, voting rights on the African Development Bank, the United States is number 2. So it's almost like the position which is occupied in Nigeria is the same position occupied by the United States. So the United States is the biggest, it has the biggest voting powers. Nigeria, in the African Development Bank, then the next there is Japan. You see, so that is what they call the African Development Bank. The African Development Bank is not really African in its nature. When you look at in practice, it is just in name. That is why they call it the African Development Bank. So Theon was at this meeting. They called him at this meeting to come and give a speech, and they asked him what is his 3-year plan, and he opened it very well. Like I said, he narrated the story, and he told us that there's people who sacrificed. So what his meaning is that we as a people, we should have a long-term view of our continent. We as African people, especially the youth, I confidently feel that he is speaking what we are feeling as the young people of this continent. Because when you look at us, we are tired of being told by organizations like the World Bank, IMF, what to do. They come here and give us lectures on what to do, how we should run our economies. And these old leaders who are old in 70s, 77, because they belong to that era of the structural adjustments in the 70s. They grew up in the 70s, the 60s. So these guys, they are easily taking it. But there is a new generation, which Theon is talking about, Theon Young. There is a new generation of African leaders who don't want to be told what to do. And if you want to invest in Africa, come and invest as Europeans, come and invest as Americans, come and invest in, and justly, we are going to make the rules, and we have started making the rules. So I pity the African leaders who are out of touch with the reality right now, because these organizations, we don't need them right now. We don't need the American, military bases on the continent, because we have the youngest population on the continent. We can protect this continent ourselves. We can, because we have the youngest population. There's nothing that France can give Africa, for example. 66 million people in France, okay? The continent has 1.4 billion people, and 70% of those are below the age of 30. So Africa should be able to protect itself, even if each of us takes up a stick. France cannot, beat us. Even if each of us Africans, 70% of the Africans take up just sticks without bombs and what, the United States cannot defeat us when it comes to war. So we can protect this continent. Now, what Theon is saying is that we are here, the young people. We will build it confidently. We don't need the World Bank. We don't need the IMF. And it is high time that we start rejecting this. We have to start rejecting this blackmail that has been going on. They have been blackmailing us. They have been bribing these old leaders, these old African leaders. Some of them who have houses in Europe. They take their children to Europe, they take their children to the United States, and they have been helping them. They have been helping them to steal our resources, to steal what belongs to us. And they never thought that this day would come. Okay? They never thought that a day would come when the owners of the African resources will say, we want to use our resources. So this is, the negative mentality that has been occupying these white people who are sitting in these organizations, United Nations. Okay, so we have to beg. Since 1960, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah begged and said, give us a seat at the United Nations Security Council, a permanent seat at the United Nations Security Council. We need a permanent seat. Africa needs a permanent seat. Up to today, 60 years, these white people, they can't listen to what we have been saying. Why? Because they see us as weak. They see us as people who are not equal to them. But now we are saying, like Theon is saying, that we are here. We don't need you people to come here and tell us what to do. We don't need you to come and build anything for us here. We can build it ourselves. You are not the ones who built up Singapore. The World Bank is not the one who built up Singapore. The World Bank is not the one who built up China to the power it is right now. So we will do it ourselves. Confidently, we will do it. We are educated. We are more educated. Look at our literacy rate now in Africa. Around 70%. So if Africa has a literacy rate of more than 70%, then you should know that this literacy has an effect on the people. The literacy has an effect on the young people and all the people of the continent. So we have been studying with you young people. We have been studying with you people, white people, in your classes and everywhere around the world. There's nothing special that you're bringing for us. We know how you built up your nations. We know how the United States was built up. We know how France was built up. We know all how, Europe, how it was built up. You exploited our resources here. You stole from us. You see, you built your economies on the back of Africans, on the backs of Africans. Slavery, Haiti. Haiti has just, continued to be, pillaged by France and the United States. The United States stole the gold, not only from Haiti, but also from Libya. France and the United States, they stole our gold from Libya when they overthrew, President Gaddafi. So we are saying that a day has come when you are going to be accountable. And that day is here. That day is now. So you have to be accountable for all these theft, for all this slavery, and the human rights violations which you have been carrying out on our continent, for all the colonialism and the plundering of all our resources. This day has come, and you cannot hide anymore behind, rhetorics of human rights, because we know you are the biggest human rights violators around the world. So I support Theo Nyang in this speech, and I believe that he voiced the sentiment of all the young people on the continent. This is what we need. We can do it by ourselves, and it starts with unifying the African continent. The continent of Africa and all the African people around the world are going to be built on ideas and ideals of Pan-Africanism. And when I talk about ideas of Pan-Africanism, like in a recent speech which Prime Minister Abiy of Ethiopia, Ahmed Abiy of Ethiopia, he gave a speech at the 35th ordinary session summit of the African Union. He gave a speech and he said that the Africa we want has to be built on the ideals of Pan-Africanism. Okay, so by the ideals of Pan-Africanism, it means that it has to be built on the ideals of the fathers of Pan-Africanism. And the fathers of Pan-Africanism, Marcus Garvey, the fathers of Pan-Africanism, Kwame Nkrumah. That is where we have to go back and look at what did Marcus Garvey want this continent to look like? What did Kwame Nkrumah want this continent to look like? All the people who are advancing ideas from the World Bank, they have to be pushed to the back. All people who are advancing philosophies, and opinions, from Europe and the United States and whether Australia, Canada, they have to be pushed back. We have to take back the continent and build it on the ideas of what Kwame Nkrumah wanted this continent to look like, on what Robert Sobukwe of South Africa wanted this continent to look like, on what Marcus Garvey wanted this continent to look like. That is where we have to take this continent back and start building it. I want to thank you very much for watching. My channel is called Africa Reimagined. I just want to request you to subscribe. Just right here there is a subscription button. Just hit the subscribe button, share and like also the channel, share it with others so that they can watch and understand what's going on this continent. So this channel, we share everything, news, technology and everything. There is many videos which I've produced in the past. I want to invite you so that you can watch all of them and share with your friends as we build a new Africa through a program called the Rapid Africa Transformation Project. We have a new project which has come up and is an amalgamation of ideas that are around, the Africans all over the world, because we understand that we have entered into a new era. There is a new world order that is happening. There's a new world order that is being shaped since 2020. So we have understood that, and we have put together plans from different Africans around the world, from the United States, from the Caribbean, and from the African continent itself. And we have termed that the Rapid Africa Transformation Project. The Rapid Africa Transformation Project. So it's an amalgamation of plans that are going to transform our continent. So I pray that you subscribe and you invite others, to listen and to be part of this movement that we are working on. Thank you very much.